going to look through our game with Dustov. This was the World Battle Circuit losers bracket. This was Nandi versus Lee. It's not a matchup that I love. Lee tends to need a little bit of setup time, which unfortunately Nandi is usually capable of giving him. And then Lee, because they can scrap out quite quickly, is usually capable of making a very potent deck fairly quickly, which if you're not able to counteract is a problem. So Dustov's going first. They take the trade, which is a good starting hand. 3 trade on 1 card is good for Lee. They can cycle through their cards quite quickly and pretty quickly, even though Lee's not one of those commanders that starts with the ability to get a bomb off the row. They can pretty quickly obtain that if they get something like orbital shuttle. So what we're going to do is we're going to play out our cards. We're going to take the scrapper off the top. It's one of those cards that you absolutely don't want Lee to have, because self-scrapping is playing right into his game plan. We're then going to pop our Gambit early doors. We're going to discard a starter, scrap it out, because that's exactly why we bought the bot. We're then still going to get even more scrap. And we luck out that Blobbot is also on the row. So we start off with 3 scrappers. And it's important that we're denying Lee scrap, and it's important for us to get scrap. We get a discard 2 as well, which is useful, and kind of most importantly, especially in this R-based format, the row hasn't procced any light cruisers or anything absolutely awful for us, because that can be a real problem. So Dustov is going to discard his 2. He's going to pop his Gambit to scrap a card. He's going to then get his starters. He's going to buy the Docker with his 3. And R has a bad rep for blue, in the sense that blue is perceived to be quite weak in Frontiers compared to other sets. However, the blue cards that are good are very good. Fred is very good, and Federation Cruiser is also very good. So we're going to top that, and we want to get that into play as soon as possible and start the aggressive game of damaging at Dustov. Now Dustov here, he picks up Crusher, which is a decent card. There's no bases to tell of, so Moonworm Hatchling's not really going to be a go-to. He doesn't want us to have that. I'm not certain that I wouldn't have picked Needle Lancer there ahead of Crusher, simply because it's in our colours and it's a really good card. I mean, it's 1 less damage than Crusher, but typically you're going to be able to ally it for a bit more damage, or more importantly, a utility ability that can really go some grounds in the Lee deck. Whether that's topping something with the red line start, or whether that's cycling something. And he does flip here. He does flip us Nandi's capital ship. I mean, we're not in a position to get it, but it's significant to see it on the row, and pretty much at this stage, anyone who gets that ship is in a really good state to win the game, because we're still very early. It's 61 authority each. All we're going to do is cycle through our deck. One of the challenges with Nandi, we're just going to play damage and pass. We're not going to buy anything. One of the challenges with Nandi is that you're going to end up with you do have 2 cyclers to begin with, so even though you have a 12 card starting deck and your hand is only 5, so you're out by 2 because of the cyclers. It's kind of like a two-hand deck, which is what the other commanders begin with, is generally 12 cards or 14 cards and 6 or 7 card hands. So that they start with kind of 2 cycles per deck, and Nandi kind of starts with that if you accept that your cards that cycle will always cycle. So it's really important to slim that down, but it's most important to not buy crap. And it's really easy to get caught up in buying something for the sake of buying, or buying it because you think it'll be good. And the self-control is one of the most important aspects of Nandi, and not just filling your deck with stuff that's actually not going to do you a lot of good. So with this handle, literally all we want to do is, Dustov's going to pick up the Minwen Hatchling, give himself some trade. He's going to make his discard. And now there's 2 bombs on the row, both capital ships from both Nandi and Lee. We're just interested in scrapping. So we're just going to scrap our scout, scrap the other scout, or rather the Viper, and get going. So now Dustov, he's got a Needle Lancer, he's got the draw, and he's got some damage, and he's going to pick up. I'm not certain there that I would pick. I know why he picked it up, because he picked it up because it's a bit of blue. Might give him a blue ally later on down the line if he's eyeing up that bounty hunter, but I don't love the runner purchase here. I think it's not necessary. I think you pass and you leave it on there because it's a trap. But what do I know? And he cycles into Minwen Hatchling and picks up the bounty hunter, and maybe that was his plan all along. All we're going to do is simply put down some trade. We've got nothing to scrap, unfortunately, but we do have enough for our capital ship. We're going to pick that up. We're going to get some authority. We're going to scrap out the scrapper because it's doing us no good right now. Apply some damage and move on. And again, we kind of get lucky that we see the scrappers together. It's going to give us the opportunity to get some ally scrap. Meanwhile, Dustov is busy applying some discards, picking up a Docker. He can see the green blue base on the row. He quite fancies both of those. We're discarding the scout, but we're discarding the yellow starter because we want to get rid of the scout. And in this situation, yeah, we're missing out on 2 damage, but as this game goes on, Lee gets lean really quickly, and you can't afford to fall behind. So we're going to get rid of our yellow aligned starter. We're going to get rid of that scout. We're then going to scrap out another starter from the discard. Apply some damage, get some life. Pop our 2. We don't buy anything. We can't. We could buy an explorer, but that would be awful. And now we're in a position to get a bomb next turn if Dustov leaves us any of the things. You never know what's going to happen. He does pick up. He doesn't have an 8. He does pick up the green-blue aligned base, which is going to allow him to dock with his Sentinel, which is kind of for him very exciting in his next deck. But he doesn't pick up either of the other 2 bombs. So what happened next is actually a misplay, not by Dustov. He picks up a base, and that's fine. I was looking at this and thinking, what I need here is to be cycling as fast as possible, to be scrapping. I really want to buy the mech battleship, and that's not actually what happened. I somehow derped and bought Transit Nexus. Now, it's not the end of the world. It's still a good card, but I think that you do want the mech battleship, if I'm being honest, because you want to scrap down aggressively to kill the lead player, because you're not just scrapping, you're cycling, and so you're seeing your more potent cards more quickly. That said, we discard the Ranger, we get our capital ship, we draw 3 cards. We see lots of blue and a little bit of yellow. We draw we get a lot of authority, and we can pop Dustov down to 19. We're then cycling into our next deck. Now we pick up the repair mech just so that we've got the ability to continue scrapping. Not that that's that relevant, but we can also put Transit Nexus on the top if we pop it. in all honesty, probably a mistake. Probably didn't need to buy repair mech. We just don't want Dustov having it. With the setup he's got, he discards his ranger. He goes fishing with his needle lancer. Pops his yellow and then grabs a discard. He again cycles into more yellow and grabs some damage from his. I would have been tempted, I think, to procreate with Needle Lancer the discard ability and knock Nandi down to 3 cards here, because it might not be relevant, but it might absolutely be. And with a 5-card hand, Nandi struggles a lot with discard. But we're just gonna get rid of our ranger. We're gonna drop all of our cards. We've got 17 damage. We scrap out, and we've dropped Dustov to 2. Again, nothing good to buy, but our next hand is absolutely bananas. So Dustov's going to get his blue alignments. He's going to get Needle Lancer. He's going to hit us down with all of his things. He's going to be gaining a lot of authority from Bounty Hunter. He got that twice from the Needle Lancer, because he got picked up 14 authority almost from that. So he's doing pretty good, but as much as it's going to hurt, he's got a discard on us, but we're going to be drawing 3 cards with our capital ship. So we draw the 2, then we draw the 3rd, and we pop that bomb onto the top, which means we can cycle into it. And it's still damaged, so we're quite happy to see it. So we scrap out 2 starters, and we have to discard a couple. We get rid of the things that aren't going to give us the damage, and we keep the things that are going to give us the damage, and we manage to win that one against Dustov. It's close. I'm not saying I played perfectly, because I probably didn't. But against Lee, you have to get something going on quickly, and you can't let them hoard the self-scrapping cards. You must get some scrap available quickly, and you absolutely must control your buying, because it's very, very easy to think, this is an okay card, I can purchase this, and all it will do is bloat your deck and put you in a position where you're really easy prey for the Lee player as Nandi, because the more time you give Lee, the much worse shape you're going to be in. And like I said, we probably got a bit lucky in that game, that there wasn't a whole bunch of light cruisers and draw discarding frontiers cards popping in, and there wasn't too many frontier runners, and etc. Like there's some play in that, but all you can do is work with what you're given, and when the trade rogue gives you the things, then you play with them. So good job, Dustov, in terms of the game, and I think we got lucky enough, and also kept it tight, and that allowed us to get the victory. So a good Nandi Lee matchup there. It's not always that favourable, but you absolutely, like, all you can do is stick to your game plan, which is not giving them all the time. Making sure you fight them for the important cards, which in this matchup tends to be those cards that can self-scrap and also scrap, like the bot is great. Being able to top that and draw it, or just top it for the next turn so that you can scrap something out. It's great for you to have it. It's not great if they get it. So yeah, it was an interesting game, and I feel fortunate that we came out of that one on top.